Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Contemplations on Rumi. Here we're going to be talking about the poetry of Rumi and the insights that he gives us into our spirituality and how those insights can actually improve the quality of our lives. It's amazing what Rumi is communicating, and it will take some time to really dive deep, to contemplate, to think deeply on what it is that he's really trying to say. So stay with me as we take this deep dive. Today's poem is called Enough Words. In a world where people talk a lot, um, I guess I have to talk too, but there's not that much of silence. And in a world where silence is considered perhaps even a weakness, I thought this might be really relevant for us to look into. So Rumi says, how does a part of the world leave the world? How does a part of the world leave the world? How can wetness leave water? See, there's a theme in most spiritual movements that have been there, I think, since the beginning of time. Whether you look at Hinduism or you look at Christianity or any faith altogether, about renunciation, about leaving the world, about somehow detaching and becoming separate from this worldly existence, that somehow this is not important, but that is some spiritual realm, call it heaven, call it whatever you will, is somehow more important than this is. And so for that, a lot of people try to um, rise above their mortal inclinations and try to be, this whole theme of being a better human being, a better person, comes from that somehow I need to elevate myself. Now, what really is elevation? What really is growth? What is it that will make us better? After all, in every area of our life, we're trying to be better. We want a better phone, a better car, a better house. We want better job. We want better all the time. And so we transplant that onto ourselves now, and I want to be better. I'm not saying there isn't room for improvement in everything. Of course there is. But when we make that the theme of our lives, are we perhaps like a dog chasing its tail or getting on a treadmill? Are we kind of, you know, chasing something that in fact is unattainable? Better is always good. I'm not nothing against it. But as a theme of our lives, as the purpose of our lives, having more or doing better, is that really what we're here to do? So Rumi, let's see what he has to say. See, you cannot separate a thing from itself. You cannot separate wetness from water. And so it is with us. We have a certain nature, a nature that does want better, that does want more, a nature that wants happiness, a nature that wants love, that wants peace, that wants joy. We want these things. And it is not something you can remove from us. You cannot say to us, do not love, for that will not happen. Do not seek more, for that will not happen. It's just a question of finding where our desire can truly be fulfilled and where it cannot, right? So let's read what Rumi has to say here. Rumi says, don't try to put out a fire by throwing on more fire. Don't wash a wound with blood. You know, when we try to put out our fires, our when we try to put out the fires of this world, let's say the problems we're facing, and we try to put them out by trying to, let's say, accumulate more things or find a better partner or find a better job, we often land up in some version of the same, right? We find ourselves seeking but never being fulfilled. So it is our nature to want more. It is our nature to want better. But we must look more deeply. He says, don't put out a fire by throwing on more fire, right? Don't try to put out the fire by throwing on more fire. So don't try to inflame your desire by trying to keep on trying to fulfill it, getting more and more and more and more, and thinking thereby you shall put out your desire. No, that will never happen. No matter how fast you run, Rumi says, no matter how fast you run, your shadow more than keeps up. Sometimes it is in the front. What a tremendous analogy. No matter how fast you run, you cannot outrun your shadow. Your shadow is your desire, your longing for that which is not attainable in this world. Only full overhead sun diminishes your shadow. What is he trying to say with that? Let's look further. But that shadow has been serving you. What hurts you blesses you. Darkness is your candle. Your boundaries are your quest. Ooh, this is so juicy. This is so exciting. Only full overhead sun diminishes your shadow. I think what that means. We want to go to the sun when it's at its lowest, at sunset, sunrise, when it's soft and gentle and warm. We want comfort and ease in our lives. We want things to be mellow and peaceful. But Rumi says the only thing that will diminish your shadow is when the sun is overhead, at its peak, at its hottest, at its worst. And then he goes on to explain what he means by that. That shadow has been serving you. What hurts you blesses you. Oh, what hurts me blesses me. Wait a minute. I want to avoid pain. I want to avoid suffering. I want to get away from that which hurts me. And you're telling me that which hurts me blesses me? Really? Oh, how am I going to deal with that? Darkness is your candle. The darkness itself is my candle. The darkness itself is illuminating the way. The hurt itself is blessing me. How will I understand this? After all, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't, I want to feel good. I want to feel happiness, but how can it be? So he goes on to explain. He says, your boundaries are your quest. You're going to need to learn how to set the right boundaries. You're going to need to learn to set the correct parameters with which to understand this. He says, I can explain this, but it would break the glass cover on your heart, and there's no fixing that. Oh my goodness. We try to protect our heart, and we protect it with this glass cover. What is the glass cover he's talking about? This is delicateness. Oh, don't hurt me. Don't say things to me that will bother me. Don't try to rock my boat. Don't tell me that I'm not okay. Tell me how wonderful I am. Appreciate me. Validate me. Tell me how special I am. And then I'll love you and I'll be your friend. But Rumi says, no. No. If I tell you the truth, it will break the glass cover on your heart. And then there'd be no fixing that. Your heart would be broken. The glass cover that you've placed on it, this delicate layer of glass, of covering you've placed on it, will be shattered. And then you won't be able to survive your life. The ego is like that, very delicate, like a glass cover, and easily broken and easily shattered. And it doesn't want to hear anything it doesn't want to hear the truth. It doesn't want to be able to deal with it because it's too painful. Rumi continues, you must have shadow and light, source both. You must have shadow and light, source both. Listen and lay your head under the tree of awe. When from that tree feathers and wings sprout on you, be quieter than a dove. Don't open your mouth for even a coo. So he says you must have shadow and light. Our shadow, our pain, our suffering is important. Our light is equally important. When they come together, when we embrace our shadow with our light, when we embrace who we are with all our flaws, when we embrace the truth about ourselves instead of hiding from ourselves, when we embrace that which we are, flaws and all, then begins the real journey of our life. The journey in which we are able to not try to fix ourselves, but rather accept ourselves as we are. Not try to better ourselves in an ongoing treadmill of betterment, but rather accept ourselves as we are with all our flaws. Now, why you would say, well, why is that so important? After all, if I accept myself, then I won't better myself. No, it's a very interesting paradox. When you accept yourself as you are, then something very interesting happens. The heart opens up. You're able to love yourself. You're able to see yourself. You're able to, instead of being in denial, instead of hiding, instead of trying to create a cover up, which is what all of us are doing. We want to look better. We want to sound better. We want to have better clothes. We want to have a better house, a better car. We want to have everything so that we want to cover up the imperfections, the flaws of who we really are. But if I tell you, I am stupid, you think like, oh, no, no, he doesn't really mean that, does he? I'm a fool. I'm an idiot. I am worthless. I am nothing. I am good for nothing. Then you think, oh, this is not possible. Because you see, the ego has been telling you all along that you need to look good, that you need to somehow project an image where people will think you're amazing and they will like you, right? Because if they think you're amazing, they'll like you. But I'm going to tell you the secret to really being liked, and that is to know yourself with your flaws. And that creates vulnerability, that creates a sense of humility. And that humility combined with vulnerability allows you to share. So, humility is the inward experience of our nothingness, of our worthlessness. And vulnerability is the sharing of that experience. And the more we realize our nothingness, our meaninglessness, our that we are flawed beings and never will be perfect. If we just recognize this one simple thing, and if we are willing to share that with others instead of trying to look good, instead of pretending to be great or successful or something else, then we will have authentic relationships. Then we will have an authentic life. Then we will have a life that is real, not a life that is based on fakeness. And you know what happens with fakeness? If you take away the fakeness of the person, like he says, if you break the glass cover on your heart, then there's no fixing that. So people who've had their ego broken, so they were trying to create this big image, this self-image of who they think, who they want you to think they are. And if someone breaks that, life breaks that, or situation breaks that, well, then you're shattered. And once you're shattered, there's no coming back. You usually will sink into depression. You'll sink into some kind of mental anguish within yourself that is so deep and devastating that it's very hard to recover. So Rumi says here, listen and lay your head under the tree of awe. Be in awe even of all your brokenness. Be in awe even of all your flaws. Be in awe of your foolishness. Be in awe of how you make mistakes and mess up, and how you've done that again and again and again and again, and yet you long for something better. Just be in awe of this. Look at yourself like you would another being, and look at that being with great compassion and love. And then he says, be quieter than a dove. Don't open your mouth for even a coo. So quietness, stillness will help you get there. Then he continues, when a frog slips into the water, the snake cannot get it. See, when the frog slips into the water, the snake cannot get it. Then the frog climbs back out and croaks, and the snake moves towards him. Even if the frog learned to hiss till the snake would hear through the hiss the information he needed, the frog voice underneath, that cannot be quenched. So, in this example, what he's getting at is come back to your original nature. Don't try to be something that you're not. Don't try to, like in this case, the frog trying to hiss. Don't try to be something you're not. Don't try to be something that is a put on, right? Find your original nature. Where does that frog thrive? He thrives best in the water. He can move fast. He's nimble and agile, much more so than the snake, at least according to Rumi. I don't know much about these things. He says, but if the frog could be completely silent, then the snake would go back to sleeping, and the frog could reach the barley. The barley is the food that he wants. So he's emphasizing this need to be completely silent. You know, if you'd be completely silent, this is the essence of what he's trying to tell you. If you would be completely silent, you would get, without any effort, without any struggle, without any pretense, without trying to put on a show of who you want people to think you are, you would get everything you desire. You would find that in silence lies everything you've ever wanted. Now, I don't mean silence just of your mouth, your silence of your mind. And when the mind becomes silent, everything is attainable. I don't mean, again, attainable by going out and getting something. No, 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 no. I mean that the thing we've been looking for, the thing we wanted all along, like he said in the beginning, he said here, that how does a part of the world leave the world? How can wetness leave water? So the real thing we've been seeking, like the wetness of water, right? You try to separate the two out. We're trying to get happiness in a world where happiness cannot be found. We're trying to get love in a world where love cannot be found. We're trying to get it through things, through people, through situations where we cannot get it. The happiness, the love, the everything we seek was always right here. And so then Rumi says in the next line, the soul lives there. Where? In silence. The soul lives there in the silent breath. Oh, oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That is the message here. And that grain of barley, that's what the frog was looking for, right? That grain of barley is such that when you put it in the ground, it grows. Meaning, it's not a lot of work. It's not a lot of struggle. You don't have to go and battle snakes and demons, but rather, effortlessly, that which you desire will happen once you have shut your mouth, when you have connected with your soul. Then that which you desire will effortlessly happen in the world. You will not need to struggle and you will not need to suffer. Then Rumi continues, are these enough words, or shall I squeeze more juice from this? Who am I, my friend? He leaves you, taunting you. He leaves you with a little carrot that is dangling in front of you, saying, who am I, my friend? Do you know me? Do you really know me? Do you know your partner? Do you know your lover? Do you know your friend? Do you know the people you meet? Or do you just know the shell that you see? Do you just know the covering that they portray, right? Is that all you know? Because if that is all you know, then you do not know that person. You do not know yourself. Yourself will only be known in silence. He says, who am I? Who am I, my friend? If you want to really know me, if you really want to know yourself, then ask this question, who am I? And keep asking it. Peel the layers of who you think you are, the layers that of thinking that I am a man or a woman, I'm a young or I'm old, I'm African or Indian or American or whatever else your identity you think is. You think you're smart, you're stupid, you're beautiful, you're ugly. Peel off all those layers. Peel them, peel them, peel them, peel them, peel them. And keep asking, who am I? Who am I? No, I'm not this, not this, not this, not this, not this. And peel it down to the rock bottom. And when you get to the rock bottom, sit in stillness with that. And in that stillness, in that silence, let your mind just be present to what is, not what you think. Who am I is not a product of who you think you are. Who I think I am is very different than who I am. Keep this in mind. Who I think I am is not who I am. Who I think I am is a construct, a fabrication, something made up by my mind, by the circumstances of my life. My shadow is itself a construct that becomes smaller or bigger depending on where I stand. If I go and confront it, like he says about the sun, like he says here, your shadow has been serving you, right? He says that um, the shadow is always with you, but the place that it is the smallest is when the sun is overhead. The overhead sun diminishes your shadow. So you will always have a shadow. You will always have a part of you that is not so pleasant, right? That will be your shadow. It will follow you. And it has come from perhaps lifetimes of experience, things that you've gone through and not resolved. It has come through your childhood. It has come through all the stuff of your life. However, it diminishes when you stand under the overhead sun, which means that instead of avoiding it, come right into it. Come right into the very thing that troubles you the most. Face it. Develop that muscle. I remember doing this when I lived in India, where it would get really hot in New Delhi, which would be around 40 degrees, 40, 45 degrees Celsius, which is around 115, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'd go out in the middle of the afternoon, and people would say, "You crazy? Go out in the evening when it's cooler. Stay within the air conditioned house, where everything is cool and nice." And I said, "No, this is my spiritual practice. This is what I do. I go out in the afternoon sun because I keep my practice of not resisting reality, of not resisting that hot afternoon sun, that hot wind blowing on me. Because in not resisting it, I learn to go into a deeper silence. And in that deeper silence, as I face the very thing that my mind wants to resist, the discomfort, right? As I face that, I find that I'm able to develop a greater strength within, to find the silence, to find the peace, to find that place of my core, my soul within me. And it keeps me on top of things. So don't run from the adversities of life, but rather face them head on. Face them with the sense that you are more than that, with the sense of the deep inner power that you have within yourself. But face them with silence, not by making a huge racket about, "Oh, look at what's going on. This happened. He said this, she said that, this thing situation." No, sit with the silence. Because in that silence, as Rumi says here, you will find everything you're looking for. That barley that he talks about, the frog wanting to reach the barley, which is the fruit of what his desire is, that fruit of your desire will also come about. That which you desire lies within you, and when you have found it within you, you will also find it all around you. So if you bring that to the area of love, it applies there too. When you learn to love yourself, and I don't mean love yourself from some pampering perspective, like, I'm going to buy myself something nice, or I'm going to, wear some nice clothes. No, it's not about pampering yourself. When you've learned to really find yourself and recognize that the true self is love, that which you are is love. That takes a whole different meaning to loving yourself. And once you recognize yourself as love, when you feel it, when you experience it, that requires the mind being silent. It doesn't require some thinking or doing. It requires settling down, letting the dirt inside your head settle down. And when you feel that inner presence, you will know yourself as love. And then you will be a radiant source of love, a beacon of love. Wherever you go, you will spread love. You will not be hungry for love, needing people to love you, needing people to give you love, but rather you will be like the sun. The sun doesn't need someone to light it up. It is the source of light. And so shall you be, a source of light, a source of love for all that you come across, for all those that you meet, and for yourself. So with those words, reflect on this. Who am I, my friend? I hope you'll join me every Monday at 9:30 a.m. I'll be here on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and spreading this message. I'll also be doing this on other days of the week. I'm still trying to get those regular, but the Monday right now is set and we're on it. For the other days, I'll be doing other books. So look for me on these channels, and I'll love to keep on connecting with you. Lots of love to all of you. I wish you a wonderful day. God bless. Take care.